welcome back to this podcast. And today we have a special guest on the My Journey to America podcast, but this time we're traversing all the way from Canada. And you have my good friend here. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right. First of all, thank you so much, Kevin, for the opportunity to share on your platform. And I trust that whatever we share here today may benefit someone. If it is even one person that gets benefited, then we would have done our duty. My name is Samora Mills. Some call me Captain Mills because I served in the Jamaica Defense Force for a number of years. And it is indeed a great pleasure to be here today to uncover the journey. Certainly, I am not in America, as Kevin mentioned. We're here in Toronto, in Canada, and it is indeed a pleasure to share on this experience today.
Thank you for that. Captain Mills, let us go back to where it all started. I'm from Point Hill in the Duxis district.
Yes.
You're from Point Hill in the Pusey district.
Yes.
What was that like?
You know what, Kevin? I spent the latter part of my life in Pusey. One could say a stone throw away from Duxis.
Yes.
Of course, there are paths that we could walk across. But I also, before that, I grew up in Junction or Mendes. Yes, I spent a number of years there. That's where I actually grew up. And that's where I went to Point Hill All Age School from, or Point Hill Least All Age and Junior High. They call it leased at the time because they said the land was leased. But yeah, that's where I grew up originally, and then I went to music.
Time out. They call it leased. That's the reason why they call it leased.
Oh, you didn't? Point Hill Least All Age and Junior High. Yeah, listen. I have not read any official documents, but I do believe they said it's leased because the land was leased, so they had to include that in the title for some official reason.
Oh.
That's my version of the story. Maybe someone else has another version.
Okay, yeah.
That's my version. Yeah, so that's where I went to. That's where I went to Point Hill from, and then in my latter years, I ended up moving to Pusey, which is in and of itself very interesting because in Junction, I grew up with my grandmother. So I grew up in a extended family, grandparent family, with my aunts and cousins. Okay. And then a series of events led to me moving to Pusey, where I both lived with my mother and my father, respectively. They both lived not together, apart. I'm not the product of a nuclear family. That's just how it works out. But I lived in Pusey the most of the time with my father, who still lived there now, and I visited recently for his 60th birthday.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so growing up in Mendes and of course in Pusey was an interesting experience for me. It is what I would say where the seed was probably planted for me in terms of there are times when persons benefit from a seed of inspiration, yes, and there are times when persons benefit from seeing something that they can say to themselves, this is not exactly what I would want my future life to look like. And so saying that to say, sometimes you move towards something and sometimes you move away from something. I have nothing against Pusey and nothing against the people there, but I wanted to say that I saw things in my environment that said to me, this is not what you should aspire to do or to be. And of course, amid that, there were also some nuggets, some slight injection of things where they said, amidst all of this, there can be some good.
Yeah.
Okay. So growing up there, life was difficult, not to the point where, I was homeless or foodless or whatever, but definitely the childhood was on the rougher side. And then I went to St. Catherine High School from
Hold on. Before we reach to St. Catherine High School, at what age you left Junction to go to Pusey? Because Captain Mills,
yeah,
I'm trying to remember that part of the story that you actually lived in Junction.
I did live in Junction, yeah. this was probably, I'll tell you, this was just about, the transition was just about when I was leaving to go to St. Catherine High.
Oh, okay.
Essentially. So essentially when I left to go.
So you used to come to Pusey a lot though, visit?
Yeah, absolutely. Because my parents lived there and my mother.
Because
Yeah.
that's where I became acquaintance with you in Pusey, not in Junction.
No, I used to visit, man. I used to visit
Yeah.
very frequent. My mother used to be there. My grandparents used to be there.
Yes.
So I'd spend holidays there and so on and so forth, for sure.
Yes.
Summer holidays and all kinds of holidays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you made mention of you decided that, hey, there has to be something better. Summarizing your last.
More or less, yeah. That's a reasonable summary.
Was it someone or something? What happened? Why you came to that at a tender age? How did you come to that idea,
that conclusion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So frankly speaking, I would have seen people just milling about on the streets. I would have seen people just milling about on the streets day in, day out. You know what I mean? And adults. So it's not like adults, working age adults. So they're not too young to work and they're not old enough to retire. So these are working age adults and they're just there. And I'm saying, okay, how can they just be there?
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're going to school and we're learning that, you know, okay, you're going to go to school, you're going to get an education, you're going to develop some form of a career. Yes. And then around you, you're seeing people that either don't, for whatever reason, and at the end of the day, we're not. There are lots of persons that have different set of circumstances that lead to their reality, right? Whatever the circumstances are, those are inconsequential to this particular discussion at the moment. Yes. But the point is that when you see an example that you've identified that this is not something to aspire to be around, be about on the streets on a daily, but there would be this one or this two professional that you see leaving early in the morning, coming home in the evening, driving a vehicle, a reasonable vehicle, and you're saying, okay, so there is still a possibility that you could actually, you know what I mean, get out of this environment and do something with yourself. And so the contrast, let's look on the contrast. The contrast worked because the contrast says, yes, there are people who are not doing much with life for whatever reason, whatever led to that. Yes. Yeah. And there are people who, against all odds, if there were odds, still manage to get out and do something with their life. And so I saw that and I was like, okay, I want to be on that side where you're able to get out and do something with your life. I want to be, I think it was at that point when I decided, you know, I want to be someone who has some form of value to the society. Yes. I wasn't clear on exactly what that meant, but it came in my mind that, you know, I want to be someone valuable to the society at large, you know, to the society at large.
That's a very interesting point. So let's piggyback off that point.
Yeah.
At what age was this? Because I'm trying to create a contrast. At what age was this? When
this was
like, how can I kid her? I want to be somebody that contribute to society.
Yes.
You never said to get a work, you know, and drive a car, you know. Yes. And that's very important to the conversation, you know.
Yes.
What is it that led you to that point?
I don't know. As I said, I as far as I can remember, I saw that there were people, and I was thinking to myself, I don't see much value coming out of just being around. Yes. And we start going to school, you know, I think the beauty about it for me is that we started to go to not Kingston, but Spanish Town. We start to get out of the country.
Yes.
And we start to go to school and we start to meet other kids. Yeah. These are the kids who are from different areas. They're from Spanish Town. They're from all other areas in St. Catherine, mostly. And you
Yeah.
start to talk and you start to exchange. You know, you're kids and you're starting to exchange things about, you know, what your parents do, this,
Yeah.
that, and the other thing. And you
Yes.
start to bit by bit see that there's a wider world other than just your neighborhood,
Yeah. Oh, I see. I see.
right?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Continue.
yeah. You start to see that there's a little wider world other than just your neighborhood. You start to see people playing sports and joining sports team and competing, and you're like, okay, okay, okay. And just like that, I think for me, I don't think that there was a one single thing that got me to that conclusion where, you know what, I want to be someone substantial to the society. I think it was just different bits and pieces.
Okay.
Right in my early high school years, though. Honestly, I think that's when I sort of formed that concept in my head that whatever it takes, some way, somehow. And listen, that did not just magically turn me into somebody super focused and somebody, um, it didn't, you know, but the seed was sown at that point. Is
Okay.
what I think happened.
Captain Mills,
Yeah.
do you think
Yeah.
most young kids now,
Yeah.
especially where we're from that demographics,
Yeah.
has that type of inclination at a tender age in 2024?
Um, where we're from, it's a little difficult to say about where we're from just because I'm not there much right now. But in general,
Yeah.
I would say that a lot of the kids, are influenced by obviously their environment, their immediate environment, and a lot of things that they see on the internet and the movies and what they hear, right? So a lot of it get influenced by that. In certainly, if we should speak about countryside areas where like where we're from, maybe not exact where we're from, but areas such as those,
Yeah.
you find that sometimes, unfortunately, there's a little hope, you know, there's little hope. And so whatever can be done by whomever to add just the spark of hope, I find that it will be very, very useful. I want to also add, lest I forget, I think that at some point in time during that process, I definitely need to add this because that could have been part of what helped me to
Yeah.
I got introduced to a youth club, a police youth club.
Yes.
All right. I don't remember exactly at what point, but somewhere along that process,
Where was this? In Point Hill or in
yeah.
Pusey?
No, it was Point Hill Police Youth Club. But I learned about it
on the hill.
On the hill.
Yes.
But I learned about it when I moved to Pusey. And it was my time there was short-lived in that club. The club kind of died off. But nonetheless, that club also opened my eyes to say, amidst poverty and amidst trials and tribulations, there are ways to rise above that, whether it's poverty or it's hard work or it's, you know, there are ways to rise above that. And those kinds of organizations, I believe, are valuable to shine a little light of hope and some inspiration to youngsters. So as a youngster, I got into that police youth club, and that was also a source of inspiration.
Think about this, and this is where leadership, which we're going to touch on in a little while.
Yeah.
Captain, is that you're saying one of the reasons, not the main, but one of the integral facets that played a part in you becoming who you are today was the Point Hill Police Youth Club, which is now been obliterated years now.
Yes, sir. I will definitely say I can attribute some of who I become today to that Point Hill Police Youth Club. 100%.
Wow.
I can attribute.
All right. Let's move on. Who are some of your teachers at the Point Hill Lease College?
Miss hey, I don't know if is she Miss Johnson or Mrs. Johnson?
Yes, she was a vice principal.
Well, she was my teacher first in I think she was my teacher.
1A. She used to teach 1A.
Yes, sir.
I think she was the teacher and the vice principal.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And listen, that lady, I mean, listen, people were fearful of that lady. Yes.
She's an army colonel in her own right.
Yes, sir. Exactly. She walked when she walked by.
Just walk alone. Miss Johnson walk alone.
When her car drives in, like the place
my Lord.
Yes. So there was Miss and see what's interesting now is this, because I remember her, but it gives me difficulty to remember grade 2 and 3.
Because she stood out so much.
Exactly.
All right. So you had Miss Johnson, Miss Allen was in 1B.
Yes, Miss Allen was in 1B. Had influence on me as well. We went to the same church.
Okay. I think the 2A teacher was a Miss Johnson too, a little brown lady.
I kid you not. I cannot remember who she
was. I know
was.
2B was a Miss Muir.
I remember that lady.
From Lloydersville.
I just remember her vaguely because I think she became part of the leadership of the school at some point later. 3A
was Miss Hamilton.
Yes, I remember her. She was, yes. She lived right down the road, not too far from the school. Yes, she was my teacher.
4A for me was Miss Harding.
Yes, she was my teacher too.
And then we know 5A, come on. Miss Henry, Miss Angus, 6A1.
Standard.
So you passed from 5A?
Yes, 1 shot, 1 kill.
Oh.
Luckily. Luckily.
What was, I guess it became normal for me, but what was it like for you to carry water from the spring?
Listen, that's the entire episode in itself. Listen, the amount of water that I carried, the amount of
your head,
whether on my head, on my shoulder, in my arms, and this was when I got to Pusey, I carried the most water in my entire life, and I have no regrets. Let me clear that up. But I carried the amount of water that I carried by myself is probably equivalent to the amount that every other kid cumulatively carried. Now, this is no joke. This is no joke. Listen, man, I carried water like there's no tomorrow. Why? People might ask, then why do you carry? I carry water like that because we raise chicken. Yeah, we raise chicken at my house in Pusey. And we, we're trying to expand the farm, and so the more chicken you have, the more water they're gonna drink. So when I get home from school, it's just hitting the spring, trips after trips after trips after trips. Yeah, rain, sun, or shine. Obviously, when it rains, you have less need, but because they're drinking a lot of water, if it rains, and sometimes it rains and you don't catch a lot of water because the rain is not a heavy downpouring. Yeah, so you still had to go. You know what I mean? So
we had chickens, we had pigs. So trust me, I know what you're talking about.
Listen, man.
And we are integral in the preparation of the chickens.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Full speed ahead.
So, all right. So we move on now to high school.
Yes.
Because at what point the military in your brain start to become an idea?
Yeah.
During high school, at what point?
All right.
So it was never.
In your brain?
No, it was never.
All right. So here's the thing about high school now. All through my high school, or most of my high school, I wanted to become a mechanic. That was
right here. That is why being in the military was never a thing for me. I wanted to be a mechanic.
Yes.
And I went and I did an engineering in school.
Yes.
Well, which is mechanic.
Yes.
So when we get bigger now, we know that engineering don't mean mechanic.
Correct.
For us, engineering
at the time, yes.
Mechanic. So I did auto mechanics. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So it was from day one, I was 100% sure I want to be a mechanic. Okay. And just like I said, I figured that I wanted to be someone substantial to the society. And all these little nuggets that are showing me that, you can you can rise above what you see around you in life, and you can be at a higher level. I mean, as I said, they are just bits and pieces of influences as I go through. I figured, you know what, I want to be not just a mechanic that fix car under a tree or whatever. I want to operate at a reputable establishment, or I want to operate at, a higher level. I want to fix tractors or trailers or even airplane at some point. Because I started to go to the library, the Point Hill Branch Library. There were no computers. There were no Google. We go to the encyclopedia. Okay.
Only encyclopedia. Yeah.
We go to the encyclopedia and we search up careers. And we search up all different types of mechanics. And there was automobile mechanics, airplane mechanics, truck mechanic, diesel mechanics, da. And I said, oh my goodness, you mean to tell me I could be an airplane mechanic? And my skin caught fire when I saw the thing.
And you found that out at the Point Hill Library? I
found that out at the Point Hill Library. I was going through the encyclopedia with careers. And
you just started catching at this time?
I was somewhere in the early stages of catching.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere about grade 8 or 9, somewhere there.
All right. So continue. When this switch off, maybe I could join the military.
We'll soon get to that. We'll soon get to the military part. So we're in the auto thing, full speed ahead. And as I said, I learned that I could become a airplane mechanic. Yeah. And I said, well, aircraft, and if aircraft don't work, I at least want to become a diesel mechanic that works on these big heavy equipment, tractors and so on and so forth. At that time, there was a company down Spanish Town Road called Power Truck. Power Truck, and we learned about this sometime later. I'll tell you. So anyway, so that was that, and then I went on to now do when you're in grade 7, 8, and 9. They give you some random practicals. So I used to do woodwork and I think we did machine shop at one point. But when you get to grade 10, you get to choose your practical.
Yes.
So it goes without saying, I'm choosing auto mechanics.
Yes.
Choosing auto mechanics and the guy, an old guy over there, Mr. Brown, right? He studied, he told us as young, he said, listen, guys, there's no higher in auto mechanics that I can study. I studied the highest level. And we were quite fascinated, to say the least. We're like, what? And he would tell us that he went to London and he studied this and he has that, and he would show us. And when he's teaching, it shows us that he knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
But it caused us to dream. It caused us to dream. And we're like, wow, then there is much more than just this high school class that we're in, and then at that time we learned about JAGAS, Jamaica German Automotive School.
Yes.
Which we were dreaming to go to.
I passed their exam.
Well done. So we were dreaming to go to JAGAS, and we got introduced to an automotive exam called the City and Guilds exam.
Yes.
So we got to go to the JAGAS compound to do the City and Guilds exam. And so that was like, oh my goodness, we're dreaming about this institution, and here we are spending 2 days here to do the exam, So we did the exam, we passed, and we're like, oh my goodness, we want to go to this school, But what ended up happening was this. As I said in the beginning, deciding that I wanted to be someone substantial to society did not automatically make me into this genius or this bright person. I struggled through high school with academics. Yeah. We also talk about the amount of water that I carried, which means a lot of times I probably didn't get to do as much homework as I should. Right. And again, we're not blaming anyone for this, and we're not blaming any situation. We're just saying it as it is and show how it actually come together. Okay. Yeah. So bring back to the JAGAS thing, bring back to the auto mechanics thing. All right. We graduated grade 11, no subjects except auto mechanics.
Say that again.
We graduated grade 11 with no CXCs except auto mechanics, which we did in City and Guilds. Because
I never knew that.
Well, here we are uncovering.
I never do that.
Well, here we are uncovering a lot of things. So listen, the high school thing was a wash.
Yes.
As it relates to CXC, but auto mechanics, as I said, because I love the thing so much, Kevin.
Yes.
Because I love the thing so much, I found a way to dedicate the energy required and the time and attention. When I'm in that class, man, I mean, like, there's no worries in the world.
Yes.
Okay. So suffice to say, I got to the exam, breezed through the exam, nice and smooth. Okay.
Yes.
Got my auto mechanics, the CXCs, none, nothing,
Yes.
nada.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you felt about the CXCs though?
I was devastated. I was devastated, but I felt worse about, you know, how will my parents see me, you know. They've sent me to school for 5 years to come to the end of it without showing that, hey, at the end of this thing, you're supposed to have some CXCs, man. Well, but there that was zero, no CXCs.
Yeah.
But I felt good. Somehow I felt good about my auto.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I can still be a mechanic. That's what I wanted to be.
Yes.
You know?
I know it's coming, that's why I laugh.
But it turned out that the mechanic thing didn't work out. And even though I think, you know, sometimes your life, I digress just a little bit, but sometimes your life take a certain path which like Steve Jobs say, you can't connect the dots so readily forward. You got to connect them backwards. But my dad had a friend who actually runs a garage.
Yes.
And I said, okay, maybe you can talk to him and I can go there and start, you know, learning the trade and what have you. I think we went there once or twice and that was supposed to get going. But for some reason, Kevin, it did not happen. It didn't happen. And I think some people chimed in and they said, listen, if you start working, and I started to apply for jobs because I want to get some work going. Let's get in the work world and figure out this thing after. But some wisdom prevailed. Some of my aunts or something whispered a word to my dad and they're saying, listen, if you get in the working world now without any CXCs and that kind of thing, two things going to happen. One, you're not going to get a job which is really substantial. And two, you're not going to go get yourself qualified. And it's going to be more difficult to get some form of qualification when you're older. So we started to explore the opportunity. We started to explore the possibility, rather, of redoing these CXCs. Started to explore the possibility of redoing these CXCs. And what happened is that amidst all of this, you know, I'm going a little bit back and front with the story.
No. I'm right here with you.
Amidst all of this, my cousin, Mark, I don't know if you know him, but Mark is my cousin who he was 2 years ahead of me in high school, St. Catherine. He joined.
Is that Natty Root's son?
Yes, that's him.
Yes.
He joined the army. Somewhere around about, I think, somewhere in this chaos when I was looking for jobs or something.
Yes.
I think somewhere there about he got into the army and I said, what? This looks cool, man, you know?
Yes.
But that being said, I'm gonna come back to that Mark joining the army in a little bit.
Yeah.
But here we are looking for jobs, and then they said, no, let's try and figure out some further education. And then we started to search, look around, try to get into after school programs, whatever. And we had difficulty getting into any schools until my batch of students, there was some issue at the school, so we could not graduate on the normal graduation schedule. They ended up putting off our graduation. The entire grade 11 had to wait until September to graduate. Normal graduation take place in like July, I think. Something like that. Anyway, so our graduation was put off to like almost the end of September.
Yes.
So at that time, the principal waved a flyer and talk about a school that is offering sixth form alternatives, and also if people want to redo CXCs. And I run for that flyer and grabbed it with my life, right? So that was the flyer. We called up the school. It was a brand new school, just starting out, a private school.
Wow. Which school was that?
I promise you probably won't recognize the name, but I'll say it. The name was St. Augustine Sixth Form College.
I know the school. I know the name, yeah.
You know the name? Okay, good. So that school opened, and I think it lasted for 2-3 years.
Where was it? Where was it? I know the name of the school. Where was it located?
It was in the heart of Spanish Town, way in the back, near to the fire station, near to the Spanish Town Public Library.
Yeah. That big name, St. Augustine.
That's where it was. It was, and literally, it was a house that they rented, and they had some students.
Wow.
The guy who opened up the school, he was teaching at UWI. He brought in some of his UWI colleagues, and they created a staff, and there we were. Suffice to say, the school was brand new. The school fee was like 5 times the amount of regular school fee.
Yeah, because it's probably self-funded.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I got the flyer. We called them up and we talked to them, and they said, yep, it's exciting. We can come. And I told them, I will obviously tell them I have no subjects. I want to this, that. And they said, yeah, we can work with you, so on and so forth. And then when I got to the price blew me away, because I can remember clearly back then, school fee for high school was like $5,000.
Yeah.
For the year. This school was $9,000 for the term. Right? And I kid you not, I was afraid to even mention the price to my father. I was like, I don't even know how.
Are we talking like 20 years ago now?
Yeah, exactly. We're talking way back. But anyway, long story short, I told him about it, and he said, you know what, we're gonna find a way to make it happen. If they have a payment plan, and I spoke to them, and they said, yeah, we can work with a payment plan. We did the payment plan, we got in the nick of things, and I doubled down. And I can tell you that this was also another pivotal point in my life where I realized that if you idle and dilly-dally, yeah, you're gonna get the result. But if you buckle down and pay attention to business, right? Because I realize I cannot afford. See, I tell you, there are things that happen in your life that just serve as a particular, instrument at the time. Because yes, the school fee was expensive. We couldn't afford it. I don't even want to say we could barely afford it. We couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what my father did. He did what it took, and we got the part-time payment bit by bit by bit.
Yeah.
But every day when I show up to that school,
business,
right? The $9,000, the $27,000 is on my mind. This cannot go to waste.
Yes.
It cannot go to waste. And so I dug in. I realized that at home, it's a little difficult for me to study. Yeah. So luckily for me, the school was situated close to the library.
Yeah.
So basically, I just built a routine around leaving school, walk to the library, put in 2-3 hours, walk to the taxi stand, take a taxi and go home.
Yes.
And I did that routinely pretty much every day, because I found out that, listen, you fail all your CXCs before because you just didn't do the work.
Yes.
And I said, listen, I have to put in the work. Yes. And that's what I did. And that's when I started to realize that if you put in the work, mm-hmm. you will see the result. Because I kid you not, I went to the school for 1 year. Mm-hmm. CXC accounts is a 2-year curriculum. Mm-hmm. I did it in 1.
Yeah.
So all of these CXC stuff for 2-year thing, you started from grade 10, you do them in, yeah. I never touched accounts before, but when I got there and I did accounts, it was 1 year, grade 2. All right. Yeah. I did physics before, yes. I think I also did social studies in 1 year. I passed
Yeah.
everything, every single thing. Even I had physics and English class overlapping in the school because they just couldn't facilitate. But I had to take the two. So I
Yes.
had to sacrifice an hour of English every
Yeah.
class,
Yes.
right? Because so I took 1 hour English, and then when the overlap started with physics, I had to skip the English class and go join the physics because I need every ounce of the physics because the physics is more technical.
Yes. Yes.
So I took the 2 hour. There were 3 hour classes
Yeah.
overlapping in the middle. So I started in the physics in the English, left the physics at 1 hour, got into the
Yes.
yeah. But to make a long story short, I doubled down on the work. I got the result, right?
How many you did?
I did 5. I did math, both in math, English. I didn't do literature. Literature, I said, listen, that's a waste of time. I did math, English, social studies, accounts,
Physics.
physics. Voila, 5.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
I did the
they,
5.
and they did A levels.
No, I didn't do A levels.
You
I'm not
didn't?
an A level guy, so
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no A level, no A levels for me. So I mean, I don't know how much more you want me to go into that story, but I got
No,
into
no,
the school,
it's
and the
fine.
school showed me that put in the work, you get the result. I put in the work, I got the result. And again, I got out of that school, started to look for work again, and no work showed up. No work showed up.
Yes.
And again, as I said, now the army thing started to come into my brain. Like, okay,
Yes.
let's do the army thing.
Yes.
My other cousin was also a firefighter. Okay, Christopher Clark. Probably if I say his name, a lot of people know Christopher Clark.
He was
Christopher Clark is probably
a singer.
Yes. I was gonna say a lot of people know him for singing, but he was a firefighter.
Yes, I know
Um,
him. I know Christopher.
so Chris was a firefighter, and I don't know, the job seemed fascinating as well. He's always on shift work, and the shift, some days he's off entirely. I was like,
Yes.
yo, this look cool. So I checked out. So remember, I said I got inspired by my cousin on the army thing. So I tried the army thing. I got to the army test, passed the test, but when it got to medical, I failed the medical. This was when I was trying to become a soldier, enlisted member.
I know that story. Yeah.
So, yes, exactly. So I failed the medical, and obviously,
We did the tests in the same time.
yeah.
Because remember,
Yes,
when I came back
yes,
from Newcastle,
yes.
you came to my house.
I came to you. I want to tell that story. I soon tell you that because
All right, go ahead.
is it that time when I came to your house?
Yes.
That time when you came to your house, you don't know how much you did for me with about 2 words or 3.
Yes.
I think you and I spoke about it before. I think we're done by hearing and we had a long discussion.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm telling you.
yes.
But we're going to talk about that briefly in a little while.
Yes.
But I failed the test. I failed the army test. Devastated. Went back.
No, you feel the medical.
The medical, rather. The
Yeah.
medical.
Yeah.
That time I was going for an enlisted member. Just like, yeah. So I said, okay, let's try the fire thing. Because now all of this is linking back to when I said I want to be someone substantial. I thought myself, being in one of these government sectors, you will contribute to society. You will be someone who is serving your country. And that excited me. So when I failed the army medical, I said, I'll try the fire services. My cousin seems like he's having a grand time. Work is hard, I'm told. The training is difficult, but I said, listen, I'll do it. I tried that. I didn't even get to write the test. They said I was too short.
Yes.
Short. Right?
Yeah.
And I also tried to go for the police.
Yes.
Yeah. So I tried military, firefighting, and police. When I went to do the police test, I did not have a government issued ID at the time. And they say you have to have an ID. Somebody told me that you could bring your birth certificate and a picture signed by a JP.
Yes.
So I said, they said that will suffice. I brought those. The guys pretty much chased me out of the building. Literally.
time out. I'm listening to you, and I don't know if because you were in the area and myself.
Yes.
So far, we're very chronological in the story. I just want you to know that.
Yes, yes.
But go ahead.
Okay. So boom, we go so now and the police test down at Ocean Boulevard. The
Yes,
guy
on this
opened
east
the
side.
door. The guy opened the door and said, listen, see the door. There's the door. And he does not want to have to say that another time. Very,
Why?
very, very
Because you
rigid.
never have the ID.
Because he said you cannot write a test if you don't have an ID. And I said, someone said that the birth certificate and the picture signed by a JP could suffice, until you get through this thing. Guy said, no, 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 no. So I left again. It wasn't like the same day, just so our audience is clear. This is time passing, yeah, but you're trying different things because so none of those work. And then I had applied for Jagas when I left St. Catherine because I loved it so much. But so much time had gone by till I went to the St. Augustine College, still no word from Jagas.
And time out. That's one of the reasons why I went and became a soldier.
Yeah.
Because I did the Jagas test and I did pass.
Yes.
It's when I came down.
Yes. You got the letter. You got the letter.
Probably like 6 months into the army. I know you get to feel money.
Yes.
They are Kingston now.
Yes. They say that letter, just ignore it.
I'm not going to be no mechanic now.
Exactly.
But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I finished. I had applied like just at the beginning of the St. Augustine College. No word. But when everything has started to fail, no army, no brigade, as in fire brigade, no police, I said, you know what, man? Something in my brain said, wonder what's happening with this application I had submitted forever ago. So I went to an office that they have down on Ripon Road.
Yes.
And I did a check. I said, hey, I just want to follow up on an application I made. What's going on? Da, 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 da. And they said, oh, no, we sent you a letter, man.
This was for the army?
No, this was for Jagas.
For Jagas, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
When none of the public services were not working, I said, let's go to the Jagas, which was our original passion.
Yes.
So I went, I got the letter. The letter said, hey, you've been chosen to come and do an aptitude test at Jagas.
Yes, that's what the letter was saying. Yeah.
So I went down to Jagas, man, because I said, okay, nothing else is working out. This is my ray of hope. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I went to Jagas, did my aptitude test, nailed it, got invited. Okay, you're going to attend school at Jagas. Again, it wasn't one of those expensive programs because it's hard funded.
Yes,
so the school fee was like $5,000. It's not like we had it lying around. Let me make that very, very clear. We didn't have it lying around, okay? But honestly, the way I got that money is an entire story in itself. I don't think we have time for it, believe you me. But that money I hustled up that money from there was a hurricane that came and all the power went out. And my dad had bought a generator because remember we said we have a lot of chicken.
Yes.
So if you don't have a generator, you're looking thousands of dollars flushing down the drain because the light went out. It's just not coming back for days.
The hurricane was what, Ivan?
I think it was Ivan,
It has to be.
It could be Ivan. It could be Ivan.
Yes,
it was Ivan.
The next one that came
was Dennis.
You were probably in Canada.
I was in Newcastle. The next one that came.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you were in some military
training.
Can you did your thing in Canada? Can we
correct.
Go into that? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So the Ivan came. Ivan messed up everything, but
Ivan to cut you. Ivan, I was on the shooting range in Newcastle.
Oh yeah. Okay. Look at that.
And they say stop.
Yes.
Stop. Pack up and makeup.
Yes.
This is what is going to happen. Yeah,
yes.
Go ahead.
So Ivan came and Ivan destroyed everything, but Ivan was a blessing to me in a lot of different ways. And I'll tell you one. So my dad bought the generator. Yeah. My dad we had chicken business, but by then we also had a juice thing going. Okay, so what happened is that I went out with my bicycle on the road and I started to sell those juice. Because nowhere had cold juice. So I got my bicycle and a bucket, put some of those juice in the bucket, rode out on the road and started to sell the juice.
You're sure this was Ivan? Because I remember seeing you and your father selling juice.
We used to sell juice. Yeah, we used to sell juice.
You were one of the first young men
Yes.
to start driving.
Yes.
And I remember seeing you and your father driving and was like, wow.
Yes. We built that.
For this now, I'm going to say Sammy.
Yes.
Sammy, I drive.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I raised the funds because the shops weren't buying bulk juice during this period because they had no fridge. But the customers, the people on the road needed something cold to drink. And I went around with a bicycle and a bucket and I sold and I sold and I sold. And I raised the money to fund my Jagas school fee. Okay. And it felt great to pay for it by myself. And it's not, honestly, it's not like my dad forced me to pay for it, but I said, hey, I want to challenge myself to do this. And I did. And I paid for that. But so I went to Jagas. The army thing that I saw with my cousin earlier, I went to Jagas. Jagas was meant to be a 3-year program. Okay. 1 year full-time, 2 years part-time. 2 years you go to school 1 day per week, and then you work in the industry and build up your experience. As I said, certain things just seem like they're not meant to be in your path. It seemed like I was just not meant to be a mechanic. Right? So I was. Go ahead. But yes,
I know you're a reader. We're going to get to that.
Yes.
You know that the Bible says,
yes,
all things work together
for good.
For them that believe.
100%.
And I'm sure your belief never waver that you're going to become somebody.
The belief never wavered that I was going to become someone substantial, whatever avenue it took. No, just like we talk about connecting the dots, the exact same thing. All things were together for good. So I went to the Jaggers for the full year. Then I'm in my second year, 1 day a week. By this time I had finished with the St. Augustine school and smashed all the CXCs. So now I have my CXCs and I have my City and Guilds auto mechanics, and now I'm working on Jaggers. Yes. So second year rolls around, you give the guidance counselor your resume and she tries to get you into a garage. That's how it works. No garage, no nothing, no apprenticeship, cannot find any. She says to me one day, she says, hey, listen, I cannot find any garage to place you. Are you open to exploring something else just so you can get into the working world and start earning a little bit of money? And if something comes up, we can take you away from that and send you to a garage. And I said, yes, I'm open to that. She said, there's an insurance company that I'm going to send your resume